Hello everyone and welcome to today's Stocks and Crypto YouTube Charts video. I am No FOMO Charts. Today is Friday, October 3rd, 2025. It's after 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at night in the USA. Welcome everyone. This is a swing trading and investing YouTube Charts channel. Let's begin today with total cryptocurrencies. Total crypto market cap. We are still in this uptrend for the past 5 months. Last week, remember I was saying that we could have a potential support bounce play marked here in these blue arrows. So last week I was saying Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Ripple, altcoins could have a rally. And that's exactly what happened. Beautiful setup. Wonderful play. Now, in terms of what's happening next, we reached a 4.2 trillion market cap temporary short-term resistance. So we could have a short-term sell-off just to retest the 4.04 trillion level and see if we could break above 4.22 trillion later this year, where there's only about 2 to 3 months left of this year. Finally had that breakout. Now, in terms of Bitcoin, last week as well, we had that lower Bollinger Band piercing bounce off that stochastic oversold level, rallied up for over a week. Now, the short-term bots reached this resistance zone below 123,000, which is all-time highs. So certain short-term robots, algorithms, and bots would be taking their profit right now for a short-term swing trade, just running that particular strategy. What I'm seeing on my chart is on the 4-hour, there's mixed signals. What I'm saying is on the 4-hour long term, we have a golden cross. The 50 yellow SMA crossed above the 200 red SMA. That's good for long term. Short term, however, I am starting to see some momentum start to fade on this stochastic RSI and MACD histogram. It just means that we could have a small pullback down to 120K, 119, or 117K before, or even could go all the way down to 114K. We do not want that to happen, but if it continues this uptrend, a small dip would actually probably be welcome in the market. Another reason why we went up last week is Bitcoin actually printed an upside down head and shoulders. So if you know that setup, the potential play should have been about 5%, and then we hit the first target. So double that target 10% would take us to 127K. That would make significant news because that's an all-time high for Bitcoin. Ethereum, very similar. We had the Bollinger Band lower piercing to this EMA 50 reversion to the mean play. Now what I'm looking for is watching out, making sure this does not turn into an evening star bearish reversal. We do not want that to happen, although it could occur within this month. Even if it happens, a pullback down to, let's say, 4,300 zone, the 20 SMA, that would be kind of normal. High, low, high, low. That could be our next higher low, and we could try one more time just to get to 4,700 or 4,800, which would be that upper resistance zone. Also the top of that Bollinger Band, which the robots and the bots are probably targeting. 4-hour, however, stochastic starting to fade a little bit. MACD histogram losing that momentum. That's the chart event I'm seeing. Very small potential double top. So if we are going to retest, maybe it could pull back down to 4,300 zone. Weekly is not closed yet. Let's go to XRP. I'll speed up here. Very similar XRP. We just have a shooting star from yesterday. The week is not closed yet. We didn't quite reach that upper Bollinger Band of $3.17. Short-term sell-off happening. We're going to a weekend as well. That could be why we're having reduced liquidity and volume. Symmetrical triangle going sideways. The current setup about plus or minus 3%. So if it's going to be upside target, would be 312. If we happen to have that pullback, it could also be 294. Let's go to Solana. Solana, daily chart, we had a hanging man candle yesterday. We did have that lower Bollinger Band piercing, just going to that resistance zone closer to about 240, 237 level. Looks like possibly an evening star back down to EMAs. 224 is that downside target, resistance at 236. Long term, I'm still bullish, but we don't want this to turn into a weekly lower high or a daily lower high. Meaning we had higher highs and higher lows through August and September, big sell-off, bounce off of extreme lows. But that if we have this rejection below 237, that could set us up for potentially a longer term pullback. I'm presuming, however, because crypto is still hot in demand, that we might actually symmetrical triangle for the next couple of weeks or months. This setup will be invalidated in terms of the pullback thesis if we have a breakout above 250. That would be nice to see for bulls. Last one. Actually, unfortunately, did not show this one on stream last week, but Zcash. Zcash had an amazing rally in the past 2 weeks. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is to caution people that shooting star yesterday, 4 hour, look at this large kind of double top formation right here below 141. It's actually right at the 12 EMA on a 4 hour, but it's so high in terms of the price rally. It went parabolic and we're starting to lose that momentum. I would put up a Fibonacci from the beginning of the rally to the top. And because it's crypto, it could pull back down to 105, 91, or $80. If it even retraces back down to 68. However, there is actual real news on Zcash. But in terms of the actual rally, starting to lose some of that steam and power. So shooting star on a daily is something to watch out for. Now, just a quick tip. If anybody, even I didn't really play this one that much, but I played other cryptos successfully. There's no problem with that. Now, in terms of finding these setups, if for Zcash, there's always an example of there's always maybe one or two, maybe three cryptos that are actually uptrending in the market. The price is actually going up. Whereas if we rewind to something like Solana, for example, in the same range, Solana was crashing hard in the same time period. So that's why what's showing relative strength, even in the crypto market, while Solana is crashing right here, this one is not. Zcash was not. Also, there's a double bottom setup. There's a lot of setups. So let's go through them. It's showing higher highs and higher lows through August and September. Moving averages are up crossed, and we're having bounces off of those EMAs as support. We had a golden cross on Zcash on September 18. We had a resistance breakout on September 25. Other confirmations, super trend is green, uptrending. Pivot point resistance, we're above pivot point ever since September 5. MACD was probably wide open as well. So there's probably anywhere between 1 to 5 signals that Zcash was going to go up. And then the final signal was probably this resistance breakout above $55.60 and plus news. That's why we get explosive moves. But the fact that I'm seeing shooting stars here 1, 2, 3 days in a row is whoever got this at the bottom or even just played this breakout, they're up 100%. So they're going to lock in their profits. They're going to lock in their profits. It might not be the end, and it's probably going to be hot crypto for a while. But having that resistance below 152 zone and the fact that it's going sideways is I'm a little more cautious right now. The only thing that I like is on maybe a 1 hour, it's at that lower Bollinger Band side compared to just 1 day ago where it was up here at 157. So we had this little flash crash of 15, 17%. And if we could hold that EMA on this 4 hour, starting to consolidate now. So I'm looking for deep support plays on Zcash if I really want to play it, or I could just pass. One potential, however, this is just more like a correlation is Hzen on stocks or Horizen is a very similar play to Zcash, although it did not rally so hard, but we had this little flash pump on it. Interesting to see. It's just the Horizen weekly chart is relatively low for a couple years. It's not really the most popular crypto or hottest crypto, but I like the fact that it's out at the bottom of support, and then we just bounced off of that. So sometimes we just get a small bounce and it crashes back down. But if we can maintain this, if we start uptrending on Zen, then I'm probably gonna long this, or if there's major news. But if it crashes back down, then I'll probably just let go of it. I do want to point out that, remember a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about APT. I don't know if you remember this, but it might have been sometime last month. I was saying APT on my scanner was showing bullish momentum on a weekly, and then finally it popped up 40%. So that's why sometimes my setups, it takes a long time to actually happen, but the reward can be incredible. For example, let's switch over to stocks now. My scanners sometimes are too early, sometimes, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, sometimes 2 months, 4 months too early. I remember in the summer, my scanners were telling me about bullish momentum on Tilray, Plug Power, RGTI, etc., and AI stocks like BBAI, SoundHound AI. And then 3 months later, they're all up, 50+%. So it's just incredible. That technical analysis can work. I just need to actually have patience. So let's go to stocks and close out this video. SPY, we're at this resistance zone. All-time high levels for SPY, rejected below 670. Had a nice little piercing. However, because of the government shutdown, trading levels kind of went more quiet in the past couple days. On this weekly, want to watch out for potential loss of momentum. We're not going to crash that hard unless we have a double top, which takes months and months to form, or the head and shoulders pattern. It's just, we might get a small pullback just because of the momentum that's fading. The stochastic RSI is not in the overbought range. And the problem is we're not getting enough economic data, and then earnings season is going to start soon. So that's probably going to be the two driving catalysts this month. What's happening with government shutdown, new economic data, and earnings as well. So the support level that I'm watching out for, 664, 661, and 656 to the downside. Remember, for entries that my style on my scanner is, I like buying oversold entries in uptrends. And what that means is, on an oscillator standpoint, the stochastic RSI has to come down. The price has to come down. Stochastic has to come down to below 25 or 20. Then sometimes that EMA holds. That's why last week I had such successful stock and crypto trading. Moving ahead, QQQ. Not a really amazing setup right now. Some tech stocks are actually selling off because valuations, the price is just getting too high and it's losing momentum. But on the weekly chart, starting to lose some of that momentum. It's not extreme. And there's not that much data that we're seeing right now. Again, I'm not seeing the double top on the weekly, not extreme. However, we could have a small pullback down to 599 or 592. All-time high resistance needs to break above 608. Last two very quickly for ETFs. Dow Jones and IWM both had shooting stars, most likely because we bounced off of that support level, 238 on IWM, and the government shut down. Also, the Bollinger Band pierce. So again, a lot of times with technical analysis, it's all about robots, bots, and algorithmic trading. That's what I really make a conscious effort to synchronize with. Humans would be more in charge of or effective with news, or fundamentals like earnings, right? But in terms of if there were no news, then it would be more all technical bot trading. So that's what I'm watching out for. Is if the bots are going to take profit here, would they not sell or short back down to the gap fill? That's something I'm thinking about, 244 or 242, unless the news changes significantly. All right, just a couple of these setups, and then we'll end. So I'm going to scan our Palantir, just a short-term double top resistance at 190. It already had a sell-off. So if the sell-off keeps going, maybe I'll try to trade Palantir in the 151 range when it gets oversold extreme. I like getting that lower Bollinger Band pierce, so I synchronize with the robots, or a momentum play, which was just about a month ago. MACD histogram, low stochastic, support on above EMA. That's the 1, 2, 3 time to buy. Right now, when I have a resistance, stochastic is high, losing momentum. That was a 1, 2, 3 to sell on yesterday. SoundHound AI, very similar play. So actually, this option was very successful. October 17, call option expiration 1538. We're way above that. I bought that option, I think, in July or August. I think I bought it in July, actually. So that's over now. And time for a new play. So the only thing I like is that the stochastic is bouncing off the 25. It's just short-term resistance here below $19. If I pull it here, that's where that 1821 resistance is. If we happen to break down bear, maybe $17 would be that range. But SoundHound is still in the weekly uptrend. It's just a short-term play. However, a lot of double tops in the market actually exploded to the upside. So Plug Power, LAC, the demand was there. So sometimes double tops are not the final resistance zone. Last one, Alibaba in a strong uptrend, broke out of that consolidation pattern September, August. And if I measure that conservative, should have went 20 to 40%, and that's exactly what happened with 50%. I'm actually seeing this type of head and shoulders on the stochastic, losing temporary momentum on the MACD histogram. Weekly chart is above the Bollinger Band zone. Stochastic is overbought as well. Linear regression is high. So it doesn't mean that we're about to crash to oblivion down here. It just means that once it gets a little too high, some robots and some traders will start to take a little bit of that profit. Okay, everyone, thank you for watching. Before I forget, let's do the weekly watches to close out. So today is October 3rd, 2025, after 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This upcoming week, we have some stock earnings releases. Stock earnings season is going to start in a couple of weeks now. We have STZ Constellation, that's related to MJ Cannabis, McCormick, Delta Airlines, Pepsi, Progressive, Levi Strauss Clothing Company, Applied Digital, Tilray for those MJ Cannabis traders. Now, the USA economic data is going to come out, but because of the ongoing USA government shutdown, maybe some of that economic data will be delayed or not released. But we have FOMC member speeches, meeting minutes, unemployment claims, Fed Chair Powell's speech, average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, unemployment rate, consumer sentiment, and inflation expectations. Recent news. On October 1st, the USA government shut down. Approximately 750,000 federal government workers are furloughed and not working right now. And government is meeting to try to make their own internal deal. Potential tariff relief for companies that produce cars in the USA. That's why Ford and GM rallied stocks. Trump RX and Pfizer deal was announced to lower Medicaid medication prices and launch a consumer medication purchase website. That sounds interesting. Coinbase applies for USA Federal Trust Charter to oversee their own reserves and take custody of assets for institutions. They confirmed they are not trying to become a bank, but they want that Federal Trust Charter license. OpenAI becomes the world's most valuable private company with $500 billion valuation. Absolutely astounding. In 3 years. Amazing. Wonder if OpenAI is ever going to go public. UK FCA removed its ban on crypto ETP products for retail investors on October 2nd, but the delays in the prospectus approvals will push the actual retail trading launch to October 13. However, there are retail customers in the UK that they could trade tokenized stocks for now on, I believe, Robinhood and Kraken exchanges. And these chart events, we talked about them, and this will be in the comments below. Thank you, everybody, for watching this week's video. Let's remember to manage risk. And personally, I might move up my stop losses in terms if we have a pullback for trading, investing, still holding, and just let's keep running our strategies. And I hope you have a nice week. See you in the next video.